Greetings YouTube, welcome to my latest weapons build. But this is going to be both a defensive and an offensive build. This is a serving tray. It is made from Chromargen stainless steel. It is out of Germany. Chromargen is a steel that has 18% chrome, 10% nickel, and 72% steel. And it's known for its wear resistance and its stain resistance, and it's also apparently good for cutlery. I don't know, I paid $4 for it at a thrift shop. But I'm going to turn this into kind of a tiger shield vibe. Vaguely, kind of a shield kind of like what Captain America had in one of the films when he had two shields, one on each arm. So the arm's going to come in like this. It's going to rest like that. I'm going to put this strap, it made me smile because it's camoed, but I'm going to put this strap in there to hold it to my forearm. And I'm going to use two washers here. I'm going to put one here and I'll put one here, so I'll put two 1/4-inch holes in there, and that they will pass, the belt will there, put this on the inside and pull the whole thing together, and this will hold the belt to the device. Now this thing right here, I have paid $3 for this at Savers, I think. I have no idea what it is, none whatsoever, but it's steel. And is it stainless or not? Is it stainless? It is not stainless. It is just ordinary steel, and it's probably for holding something. I don't know, who cares? But I'm going to turn this into a handle, because this is a good shape because it's wide enough for my hand, and if I make it the right width, and I think the width is going to need to be, I think I'm going to split it here. Well, actually, I think I'm going to cut it here first. I'm going to cut it along this lines, right where these edges are. And then I can make it narrower if I need to make it narrower. I can't make it wider, so I'm going to cut that, and because that gives me the advantage of it comes all the way around like this, so I can drill the holes from mounting it here. I'm going to put that as close to this end as I can, so on this flat section here. And that'll get me in there, and I can use those two to make holes, and again, drill through it, put a bolt from through it to hold it together, and that will hold everything together. And if I'm going to use domed 20 bolts on this, so they really won't be in my way. Now my hand's not going to be in my way at all, and I should actually be able to use a screwdriver if I do that. So that's going to be the grip. Now, as far as the offensive ability, I'm going to take this piece right here, which is a piece of 1/4-inch mild steel. It's not hardened steel, 3 inches wide, and I'm going to mount that here. I'll probably use 3 points, 2 here and 1 there, to hold it, and then I'm going to put a point coming off the end. What angle of the point is yet, I don't know. I haven't decided how far out I want that point to go. I'm going to work on everything here. I think I'm going to get all the holes drilled and everything, figure out what I want to do stuff, and then I will figure out how long I want that point to be, because the point is I'm thinking like, I don't know, maybe 6 inches? Maybe 6 inches? Yeah, maybe 6 inches coming out like that, because that'll give it enough point to be dangerous, but it's not going to be too heavy. I don't want to put too much weight on this end. That's why I had a couple of other pieces of steel in my basement shop here, and I was looking at them like, yeah, they're just going to be too damn heavy. They're too big, and I don't want that much weight on the end of it. I want to be able to have this thing be dynamic in its action. So I need to cut this. This just needs to get tossed out of the way. We don't need that right now. The fender washer needs to get tossed out of the way. So I need to do some layout as far as the hole's concerned, and I will be drilling those on the flat like this. So clamping them is going to be an issue of a process of clamping them like this on my drill press. So I'm going to have to clamp them like this so they can then drill through that, because I don't want to have to try to drill this way, because, well, technically I can make my bed. Can I make my bed go at that angle? Maybe I can. I have to figure out what that angle is. Maybe I can make my bed go at that angle, because drilling that way might be a lot easier. Boom, boom, boom. For the 2 here for the strap, 2 here for the grip, 3 here for the yeah. And there's the little symbol that says Chromargen, Germany. hope whoever had it appreciated it, because it's nice steel. I'm just going to use it for something completely different. Alright, so let's do some layout and see if I can actually, maybe too much trouble to change the bed angle. I may just drill, like I said, just drill like that, clamp it in place. That may be the easiest thing to do. And sometimes I do things just because they're the easiest thing to do. And I can do that, do some layout now, maybe get some holes drilled today. I don't know if I want to suit up and start the cutting process for this and for that, because I have to figure out the size I want, and I have to cut the length and all that stuff, because I'm going to probably have a 3-inch square here. There's probably going to be a 3-inch cube that'll be on here, and then it'll come off from there, because I want it to have a nice strong base on that. Yeah, we'll find it out, and maybe I'll copy this angle. Maybe I'll copy that angle, figure out what that angle is, copy it, come out like that. Maybe. We'll see how that looks. Okay, enough blathering from me. So let's start working on layout, I guess. So here are all the components have been broken down into their final sizes, shapes. We got the handle, got the blade, we got all the holes drilled in this. The holes on this are slightly off center because I realized after I had drilled these that I had not quite got the centering the way I wanted it to. I thought I had and I hadn't. So this is actually going to be in the middle, so the holes on this look asymmetric, so don't worry about it. It'll all come out in the wash when I'm done. So now I need to turn this over, as I want to have this be the flat side. I don't want to bevel on this side. I want to do a chisel grind. So I'm going to do a chisel grind on this side. So that's my next task, to do that. And I'm going to rough out some of it with one of my discs here for my angle grinder, and then I'll clean it up on the my grinding wheel for the final bit, so I can get much more control that way, because I have both hands on the blade. It's a much more precise process, because I don't have a proper knife maker's belt sander. That would be awesome, but I don't have one of those at this point. So that's the one thing I have left to do as far as the solid materials go. Then I'm going to need to cut a couple of holes in my belt for the strap, and put a couple of small slices in that so I can get the bolts through, and then pull this whole thing together. I'm going to see if I have another short one like this, because these are really quite handy. I think these are going to be exactly the length I need for a couple of different things on this. I'm going to see if I have any more of those kicking around, because if I don't, I can always make some, because that's the beautiful thing about having longer bolts. You can always make them shorter. So let's get this ground up, and then we can do some final tweaking. And I'm going to have to do a wrap on this. I don't want this just to be raw metal. I want this to have some kind of a padding on it when I'm done. And then it'll be final assembly. So let's let's hope that the grinding goes smoothly. So here we have the final product. I'm going to show you with it on my arm first, and then I will take it off. But getting it on is a two-hand operation, and at the moment I only have one hand. So I'm going to have to do that in a second clip. So this is very comfortable, and it comes up and it completely covers my elbow, which is a really nice, which is what I was going for. So you've got your elbow protected when it comes like this, as well as having your whole hand protected, and you've got that very, very nice point coming out of the front of this thing, which is, I think, well, from that line, it's 5.5 inches long. So you get about 5 inches sticking out beyond. And that's the angle I decided I wanted. And it came out quite nice. And it isn't too heavy, which is also one of my concerns. When you make something like this, sometimes the builds do end up heavier than I want them to be, because of the way I'm building them. This has been assisted by the fact that I'm using, commercially made stainless steel. It's been pre-formed, so the forming itself offers stability and strength. This is not something I can do in my shop, at least not at this point in time. So yeah, it is very comfortable. So now I will cut to the next clip, and you will see this thing in detail off my arm. So here we have the item on the bench. Now, if you wanted to get this thing to be a little bit stronger, you could put a secondary layer of steel here, and it wouldn't be difficult to do because I've got these 4 mounting points. So I could, if I wanted to, put another piece of sheet metal on here, and I've actually got sheet metal in my collection right now, which would cut this because all I would have to do is put cut it to shape, taper it slightly, put the holes in and everything, and that I can do. I can make a single curve like that without a problem. But at the moment, since I'm not actually going to be using this in combat, it's just going to stay like this because it looks really wonderfully sleek. So I used cap nuts on this. As I said, these are for the strap, these are the grip, and these 3 here are holding the blade itself. And the blade itself looks just beautiful. Isn't that just wonderful looking? That came out really nice. I'm very happy with this design. This thing is just dangerous as all heck. Let's put it that way. And it makes me think of there's a comic book character I want to think of, and it wasn't Cap. There's another comic book character I'm thinking that had a forearm, something like this, that had blades like that. Was it Power Armor or something? I'm not sure. It's tickling my brain, but I can't think of it. If anybody can figure out what character they may have seen that had that type of a blade other than Cap from the Avengers, tell me. Because I'm thinking I previously saw that. I want to say Marvel, and I get the feeling it was from like the 80s or 90s, but I could be wrong. But this would be also a really useful way if you had power armor to have a blade. You really don't want a blade that's too big if you're going to be having this kind of situation. And you could do a curved blade so it could actually go zhunk, zhunk, and actually function. But remember, when you ever have a blade, you have to have a mounting point. And so this is the mounting point, and the mounting point, remember, it's a square piece of steel. It's this wide. A lot of the time when you see blades that are like, the mounting point's about this big, but they're like 2 feet long. Okay, where does that blade go when it's retracted? You know what I mean? Like Wolverine's claws, I question whether they could actually fit inside a human forearm, but it's comic book magic. I'm constrained to the real world when I'm making these things, so I can't do comic book magic. But yeah, very happy with this. This came out very nicely. I don't know what I should call this thing. I can just call it an arm blade. I mean, that's kind of, or a shield blade. Shield blade works, I guess. Called it a shield blade. But yeah, this came out very nice. I'm quite happy with it. This makes me think of like gladiatorial combat too, as well as potential use in the wild, in a post-apocalyptic setting. But this would be great in gladiatorial combat, particularly if you had a person with something like this, and then they have like a light spear or something. That way you could actually have a short range as well as a medium range attack. This is very much up close and personal. But one of the disadvantages of using a spear is if somebody gets within the range of your weapon, you don't have a weapon. This means you always have a weapon. All right, folks. Now I can take some shots for this, as well as some pictures for my DeviantArt page. And you should follow me in my DeviantArt page, because that is where I permanently post images of my builds. And you should follow me on Instagram, where I post bargain stuff, I post scrap salvage I find, I get sneak previews occasionally, and of course cute cat pictures. And who doesn't want more cute cat pictures in their life? Thank you for being here, folks. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I hope you come back for the next one.